Captain Juan's coffee mug shattered against the deck as the alien transmission tore through the bridge of the UES Taigok. The sound was unlike anything human ears had ever processed, a haunting melody mixed with what could only be described as electronic screaming. Every crew member on the bridge froze as the desperate alien voices filled their ship. "What in the hell is that?" Juan muttered, his scarred hands gripping the communications console so tight his knuckles went white. The 40-year-old captain had seen combat in the Mars Colony Wars, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Commander Lee Minna spun around from her station, her usually steady fingers trembling as she worked the translation matrix. Beaded on her forehead as the alien language patterns flooded her screens. "Sir, I'm picking up massive data streams. They're broadcasting on every frequency we know, and some we don't." The main view screen flickered to life, showing a holographic image that made several crew members gasp. The being was tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer like water. Its large, dark eyes held a terror so pure it made hardened. Space Marines shift uncomfortably. Behind the creature, explosions lit up what appeared to be a dying city. "My name is Protector Velthani of the Peaceful Coalition." The alien spoke through the translation software, its voice carrying a musical quality even through the electronic filters. "We are the last. The Mordock horde has consumed our brothers, our sisters, our children. 12 of our worlds burn. We send this message to anyone who might hear, please. If there is mercy left in this galaxy, help us." The transmission cut to scenes that would haunt the human crew for years. Massive dark ships, looking more like living creatures than spacecraft, descended upon beautiful crystal cities. The Mordock were nightmare incarnate-writhing masses of tentacles and chitinous armor that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved through the peaceful alien cities like a plague, consuming everything in their path. Jesus Christ whispered. Tactical Officer Song Hojin, a tough veteran who'd never shown fear in 15 years of service. "They're eating them alive." Commander Lee's voice cracked as she read her instruments. "Captain, the transmission is coming from the Kepler 442 system, roughly 47 light-years from Earth. The signal strength suggests they're using every ounce of power they have left just to send this message aboard the flagship Souls. Pride *. Admiral Park Jun-ho stood before a holographic tactical display that showed the grim situation unfolding in distant space. At 62, Park was Earth's most decorated military commander, a man who'd earned his rank fighting pirates in the outer colonies and defending humanity's first space stations. His weathered face, marked by a scar from the Battle of Titan, showed no emotion as he processed the alien distress call. Dr. Kim Yuna approached with her preliminary analysis, her tablet displaying biological scans of the alien species. The fleet's lead xenobiologist was brilliant, but had never encountered actual alien life until this moment. "Admiral, these Velthani are unlike anything we theorized. They're completely herbivorous. Their physiology shows no adaptations for violence whatsoever. No claws, no fangs, no natural armor. They're more fragile than our own children." Park studied the tactical readouts showing the Mordock horde. The enemy fleet was massive, thousands of bioships that seemed to grow rather than being built, and their attackers, pure predators, sir. So everything about the Mordock suggests they've evolved for one-purpose consumption. They don't just destroy civilizations, they literally eat them. Their ships appear to be living organisms, possibly grown rather than constructed. The Admiral's jaw clenched as more reports flooded in. The Velthani had been a coalition of 14 peaceful species, all herbivorous, all dedicated to art, science, and philosophy. They had no military, no weapons, no concept of the kind of warfare humanity had perfected over millennia of conflict. Commander Ru Sang-min, Park's second-in-command, approached with a concerned expression. "Sir, High Command is asking for your recommendation. This would be humanity's first interstellar military deployment. We're talking about mobilizing our entire deep space fleet. 150 ships, 200,000 personnel. The logistics alone, how long?" Park interrupted. "Sir, how long until we lose contact with them completely?" Dr. Kim checked her readings. "Based on the degradation of their transmission power, maybe 6 hours. Their civilization will be extinct by tomorrow." Park turned to face his bridge crew. These were men and women who'd followed him through the worst humanity had to offer: the corporate wars, the colony rebellions, the asteroid mining conflicts. They looked at him now with the same trust they'd always shown, but he could see something new in their eyes: fear, not of death or combat, but of failing these desperate aliens who'd reached across the void for help. "Commander Rue, send word to all fleet commanders. Full mobilization. Every ship we have, sir. Are you certain? We don't know what we're flying into. The Mordock could have weapons we've never encountered. This could be a trap." The holographic image of Protector Valthani, still playing on repeat, the alien's desperate plea echoing through the bridge. "They asked for help, Commander. And as long as humanity draws breath, we answer that call." The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of the ship's engines. Every person present understood they were witnessing history. This wasn't just a military deployment. This was humanity's introduction to the galaxy. They were going in, guns blazing. The void of space had never witnessed anything like this. 850 human warships spread across a sector of space so vast it could swallow entire star systems. The formation looked like a metallic galaxy unto itself, each ship's running lights, creating patterns that would have been beautiful if they weren't so terrifying at the heart of this steel. Constellation, the dreadnought Busan, Thunder, dominated everything around it. The massive ship stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull scarred from years of combat in the outer colonies. Captain Yoon Jae-sung stood on the bridge, watching his crew prepare for humanity's first interstellar war. The ship's main railgun, a weapon capable of punching holes through asteroids, slowly rotated in its housing like a sleeping giant awakening. Thundered all vessels, Yoon's voice carried across the fleet's communication network. "Final weapons. Check in 10 minutes. Make sure every gun can sing when we need it to." Parallel to the thunder, the ancient hammer cut through space with predatory grace. Its sister ship might have been identical in design, but Captain Ko Hyun-woo had customized his vessel for close-range devastation. Fusion torpedo tubes lined the hammer's flanks like the quills of some metal porcupine, each warhead containing enough destructive power to crack a moon between these floating fortresses. The destroyer squadron moved like a pack of hunting wolves. Captain Nam Soo-jin commanded this deadly formation from the bridge of her flagship Gwangju Strike. Her ships were smaller, faster, built for hit-and-run tactics that had made pirates across the solar system fear the sight of their angular hulls. "Destroyer Squadron Alpha, maintain formation," Nam commanded, her voice steady, despite the magnitude of what they were about to face. "Remember, we're the pack hunters. We go in first. We hit hard, and we clear the path for the big guns." Tactical Officer, Lieutenant Bae Chongmin, couldn't hide his excitement. "Captain, our targeting computers are showing optimal firing solutions. The enemy won't know what hit them." Nam smiled grimly. At 35, she was the youngest squadron commander in the fleet. But she'd earned her rank in the brutal mining wars where one mistake meant death in the vacuum. They're about to learn why Earth breeds the best warriors in the galaxy. In the troop carriers scattered throughout the formation, Lieutenant Colonel Choi Min-ho inspected his marine assault teams. These weren't ordinary soldiers, they were the product of Earth's harsh environment. Men and women forged in gravity that would crush most alien species and weather systems that regularly destroyed entire cities. "Listen up, Marines," Choi's voice echoed through the transport ship Daegu Fury. "We're about to make first contact with a hostile alien species. Everything we know about warfare, everything we've learned from Earth's conflicts, it all leads to this moment." Sergeant Major Lim So-young, a veteran of the Mars Rebellion, checked her pulse rifle. The weapon was designed to penetrate power armor, but intel suggested it could probably punch through alien starship hulls. "Sir, the boys are ready. We've been training for this our whole lives, even if we didn't know it." The Marines around her nodded. They carried weapons that seemed almost primitive compared to the ship's main gun's pulse: rifles, plasma grenades, combat knives. But these tools had been perfected through centuries of human warfare, tested in every environment from the ice fields of Europa to the volcanic hell of Io. Meanwhile, in the fleet's mobile command center, Dr. Kim Yuna worked frantically to understand their alien allies. Her screen showed biological analyses that made her increasingly concerned. Admiral, I'm seeing bone density readings that are terrifying. These Velthani are so fragile that Earth's normal atmospheric pressure would literally crush them. Admiral? Park studied the data from his command chair aboard Soul's Pride. The flagship was humanity's most advanced vessel, bristling with enough firepower to level continents. But right now, he was more concerned about saving lives than taking them. Doctor, what about their attackers? Any weaknesses we can exploit? Kim's expression darkened. The Mordok are the opposite of the Velthani. They're built like living tanks. Their bioships show armor plating that's grown rather than manufactured. But Admiral, there's something else. Their attack patterns suggest they're not just conquering, they're harvesting. They're literally eating entire populations. The bridge fell silent. Every officer present understood the implications. This wasn't warfare as humans understood it. This was extermination on a galactic scale. All ships, this is Admiral Park, his voice carried across every vessel in the Armada. In 30 minutes, we'll be entering hyperspace for humanity's first interstellar military operation. We're not just fighting for the Velthani, we're showing the galaxy what happens when innocent life is threatened. Captain Nam felt her destroyers, engines humming with barely contained power. Around her, the massive fleet began to position itself for the jump to hyperspace. The sight was magnificent and terrifying, hundreds of warships moving in perfect coordination, their weapon systems charging for battle. Remember, Park continued, we carry with us the hopes of every human who ever looked up at the stars and died. Wondered if we were alone. Today we prove that humanity stands for something greater than ourselves. In the cargo bays, Marines loaded their weapons. In the engine rooms, technicians pushed fusion reactors to maximum output. On every bridge, captains prepared their crews for combat against an enemy they'd never seen. The hyperdrive engines began to glow with otherworldly light. Space itself seemed to bend around the massive fleet as they prepared to tear through the fabric of reality. In minutes, they would emerge in a distant star system where genocide was unfolding. The largest military force in human history was about to announce Earth's presence to the galaxy, and they were coming in peace through superior firepower. The fabric of space-time tore open like a wound, and 850 human warships poured through the hyperspace rift into a vision of absolute horror. What greeted them wasn't a star system. It was a graveyard stretched across light years of space. Captain Wan felt his stomach drop as the Taigok emerged from hyperspace. The first thing he saw was what used to be a planet. Now it was nothing but chunks of molten rock drifting through space, still glowing red-hot from whatever weapon had cracked it open like an egg. The debris field stretched for millions of kilometers, and floating among the planetary remains were the twisted hulks of alien ships, beautiful crystalline vessels that had been melted and torn apart. Sweet Mother of Christ, whispered navigation. Officer Park Menesio, his hands shaking as he tried to process the sensor readings. Sir, I'm reading the remains of at least 4 planets in this system. They're just ... gone. On the bridge of Soul's Pride, Commander Lee Minna stared at her tactical display in disbelief. Red dots filled her screen like a plague of digital. Locusts, thousands upon thousands of enemy contacts. Admiral, I'm reading 8,847 hostile vessels and counting. They're everywhere. The Mordok bioships were unlike anything human science had imagined. They looked less like spacecraft and more like massive sea creatures that had somehow learned to swim through vacuum. Their hulls pulsed with organic rhythms, veins of green acid running along their surfaces like poisonous rivers. Some were as large as human battleships, while others swarmed in schools of hundreds, each one the size of a fighter, but moving with the coordinated intelligence of a hive mind. Jesus, they're feeding, gasped Tactical Officer Song Hojin aboard the Taigok. Through his telescope, he could see the nightmare up close. The smaller Mordok ships were literally consuming the debris of dead worlds, their organic hulls expanding as they devoured metal, rock, the remains of alien civilizations. The largest of the bioships was beyond comprehension, a creature vessel. The size of Earth's moon, its surface covered in what looked like millions of feeding tentacles. It hung in space above the burning husk of what had once been the Velthani homeworld. Slowly drawing streams of matter up from the dying planet's surface, a weak transmission crackled through the human fleet's communication system. The voice was hauntingly beautiful, like music mixed with desperate tears. Unknown vessels. This is Protector Velthani of the last sanctuary ship. By the stars, who are you? How did you find us? Admiral Park stepped forward, his weathered face grim as he activated the translation protocol. This is Admiral Park Jun-ho of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your distress call. We're here to help. The silence that followed seemed to last forever. In that pause, human sensors continued cataloging the horror around them. Captain Nam's destroyer squadron had detected movement streams of smaller Mordok vessels were beginning to turn toward the human fleet, drawn by their sudden appearance. When Protector Velthani's voice returned, it carried a terror that chilled every human who heard it. Earth, but that's impossible. It cannot be from Earth. The Galactic Database. It lists your world as inhabited by Class 12 Deathworlders, creatures so violent, so dangerous, that even the Mordok avoid your sector of space. Captain Wan exchanged glances with his bridge crew. Deathworlders? What the hell is he talking about? Dr. Kim Yuna's face had gone completely white as she cross-referenced the alien's words with her xenobiology database. Admiral, I think I'm beginning to understand something terrifying. In galactic terms, Earth isn't just another world. We're from what they consider a death planet, a world so hostile that only the most dangerous predators could evolve there. Implications hit the human commanders like a physical blow. They'd come here thinking they were rescuing peaceful aliens from typical predators. Instead, they were learning that, to the rest of the galaxy, humans were the monsters that parents used to frighten their children. Unknown Earth vessels. Velthani's voice returned, now filled with a different kind of fear. Please, you must understand. The Mordok are the most feared predators in known space. They have consumed entire galactic sectors. If you are truly from Earth, then, what does that make you? Lieutenant Colonel Choi Minho, monitoring the transmission from his troop transport, looked around at his Marines with new understanding. These soldiers bred on a world with crushing gravity and deadly weather, carrying weapons designed to punch through armor plating to the aliens. They probably looked like demons from hell. On the main screen of Soul's Pride, a new image appeared. The last Velthani sanctuary ship was a thing of incredible beauty, a crystalline vessel that seemed to be grown rather than built, its surfaces reflecting starlight like a prism. But it was clearly dying, its lights flickering as its power systems failed. Protector Velthani, Admiral Park's voice carried a gentleness that surprised his own crew. We're not here to harm you. We're here because you asked for help, and humans answer that call. But you don't understand, the alien replied, desperation clear even through the translation software. We've been monitoring galactic communications for centuries. Earth is listed in every database as forbidden space. Your world is classified as having given birth to the most efficient killers the galaxy has ever known. Captain Nam, watching from her destroyer's bridge, felt a chill run down her spine. Are we the bad guys? She whispered to her tactical officer. Before anyone could answer, the Mordok made the decision for them. The nearest swarm of bioships, apparently deciding that even Deathworlders were just another meal, began moving toward the human fleet with predatory hunger. Admiral Park watched the approaching enemy and made a decision that would change galactic history forever. All ships, battle stations. It looks like we're about to show the galaxy exactly what Earth's children can do. The human fleet began to spread out into attack formation, and for the first time in the Velthani system, the Mordok were about to encounter something more dangerous than themselves. Admiral Park's voice thundered across every communication channel. In the human fleet, all ships, weapons free. Show them what Earth's children can do when innocent blood is spilled. What happened next would be remembered as the moment the galaxy learned to fear humanity. The The human armada didn't retreat to safe firing distances like every other species in galactic history. Instead, they did something so insane that even the Mordock paused in confusion. They charged straight into the heart of the alien swarm at full combat speed. Captain Nam Sujen's destroyer squadron led the assault like a pack of wolves diving into a herd of sheep. Her flagship Gwangju's strike accelerated to ramming speed. Its fusion engines burning so bright they lit up the surrounding space like miniature stars. "All destroyers, follow my lead," Nam shouted over the combat channel. "Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for every innocent life these monsters have taken." The Mordock responded exactly as they had for countless centuries. The massive bioships released clouds of green acid so concentrated it had dissolved entire alien fleets in minutes. The corrosive mist spread through space like poison fog, reaching out to melt the approaching human vessels. Lieutenant Bei Changmin, Nam's tactical officer, watched his sensors with growing amazement. "Captain, the acid is washing over our hulls, like water. It's not even scratching our paint." What the Mordock didn't understand was that human ships were built to survive. Earth, a planet where hurricanes could flatten cities, where asteroids regularly bombarded the atmosphere, where the very air could kill most alien species. Their acid, deadly to every other known life form, was nothing more than a mild irritant to hulls designed to withstand the fury of Earth's own environment. "This is Inch and Hammer," Captain Ko Hyenwoo's voice crackled with fierce joy. "Mordock bioweapons are useless. Repeat, enemy weapons are completely ineffective against Terran armor." The human fleet smashed into the Mordock formation like a meteor storm. Railguns that could punch holes through moons opened fire at point-blank range. The kinetic slugs, traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, tore through organic armor that had protected the Mordock for millennia. Aboard the Soul's Pride, Admiral Park watched his tactical display with grim satisfaction. "All heavy. Cruisers, target the command bioships. Let's cut the head off this snake." The flagship's main battery spoke with the voice of thunder. 8 massive railgun slugs, each weighing several tons, streaked across space and punched through the largest Mordock vessel like it was made of tissue paper. The bioship, a creature that had devoured entire worlds. Simply ... Its organic hull collapsed as vital systems were shredded by weapons designed to crack fortified asteroids. But the real shock came when the Mordock tried their most feared weapons: psychological warfare. For countless eons, they had driven their enemies insane with fear-inducing chemicals and sonic attacks that turned brave warriors into gibbering wrecks. Captain Wan's crew aboard the Taigok was hit with the full force of a Mordock terror weapon, the bridge filled with chemicals designed to trigger primal fear in any living creature. Sound waves that had driven entire alien species to suicide echoed through the ship's hull. Instead of collapsing in terror, Wan's crew began to laugh. "Sir," Navigation Officer Park Menesio called out, his voice filled with battle joy. "Whatever they're hitting us with is just making us angry." Dr. Kim, monitoring from the flagship, quickly understood what was happening. "Admiral, human brain chemistry is completely different from any other known species. We evolved on a world where fear meant death. Our adrenaline response actually makes us more effective in combat, not less." The Mordock had spent millions of years perfecting weapons designed to break the will of their enemies. But humans had evolved in an environment so hostile that their natural response to mortal terror was to fight harder, move faster, and think clearer. Lieutenant Colonel Choi Minho seized the opportunity. "All Marine units prepare for boarding. Actions. These bioships are living creatures. Let's see how they handle Terran steel up close." Dropships launched from the human carriers like angry hornets. The Marine assault teams, bred in Earth's crushing gravity and armed with weapons that could punch through starship armor, tore into the Mordock bioships. What they found inside defied description: organic corridors that pulsed like arteries, living walls that tried to digest the intruders, defensive systems that sprayed acid and poison. Sergeant Major Lim Soyoung led her squad through the interior of a Mordock bioship, her pulse rifle cutting through organic defenders like a hot knife through butter. "These things are tough," she reported to Choi, "but they've never faced anything like Earth Marines." The human soldiers moved through the alien vessels like a plague of death. Their weapons, designed for Earth's harsh environments, proved devastatingly effective. Against creatures that had never encountered such concentrated violence, Captain Nam's destroyer squadron danced through the Mordock formation like deadly ballerinas. Her ships took hit after hit from weapons that should have destroyed them, but their crews just kept fighting. The Gwangju strike had been struck 17 times by bioweapons that had obliterated other ships, yet her hull showed nothing more than scorch marks. "This is impossible," whispered Protector Velthani from his sanctuary ship, watching the battle unfold. The Mordock are the apex predators of the galaxy. How are these Earth creatures not just surviving, but winning? The answer was simple and terrifying. Humans weren't just another species, they were the product of the most violent, hostile world the galaxy had ever produced. Every challenge that space could throw at them, Earth had thrown at them first. And worse, in 4 hours, the human fleet had done something no other species had accomplished in recorded galactic history. They had completely destroyed a Mordock horde that had conquered 12 worlds and terrorized entire sectors of space. The bioships that had seemed unstoppable were now nothing but drifting debris, their organic hulls torn apart by weapons and warriors from a world they should never have challenged. Admiral Park surveyed the battlefield with quiet satisfaction. Around him, his officers were already preparing rescue operations for the surviving Velthani. To them, this had been just another day's work. To the galaxy, it was the day everything changed forever. The silence after the battle was more terrifying than the fighting itself. Where moments before space had been filled with the screams of dying bioships and the thunder of human weapons, now there was only the soft hum of life support systems and the gentle drift of debris. Captain Juan stood on the bridge of the Taigok, staring out at a graveyard that stretched across light years. The Mordock horde, a force that had consumed entire civilizations, was now nothing but floating chunks of organic matter slowly freezing in the vacuum. His crew moved around him in stunned silence, still processing what they had accomplished. Navigation Officer Park Manesio whispered, "Are we seeing this right? Did we really just... ... We did what we came here to do," Juan replied quietly, answered a call for help. But even as he said it, the captain knew they had done something far more significant. They hadn't just won a battle, they had shattered every assumption the galaxy held about power, warfare, and survival. Admiral Park's weathered face appeared on communication screens throughout the human fleet and on every surviving Velthani vessel. His voice carried the same calm authority that had guided humanity through the colony wars, but now it reached across species and star systems. "Protector Velthani, this is Admiral Park. We're transmitting medical supplies, reconstruction protocols, and engineering teams to assist your people. Earth stands ready to help you rebuild everything you've lost." The response came after a long pause, and when Protector Velthani's melodic voice finally reached them, it trembled with emotions that the translation software couldn't fully capture. "Admiral Park, what you have done here today, ... it will reshape the galaxy. A Mordock horde terrorized our sector for 300 years. Entire star systems went dark rather than face them. And you, ... you destroyed them in 4 hours." Dr. Kim Yuna was frantically working at her communication station, her screens flooding with incoming transmissions from across the galaxy. The xenobiologist looked up at Admiral Park with wide eyes. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from everywhere. Dozens of them, all asking for Earth's help." Commander Lee Mina joined her, her own displays showing transmission sources from across known space. "Admiral, it's not just distress calls. We're getting diplomatic requests, trade offers, surrender messages, and... Sir, 3 different species are asking if they can become human colonies for protection." The bridge crew of Soul's Pride exchanged glances. They had come here expecting a rescue mission, maybe a small skirmish with local pirates. Instead, they had inadvertently announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage with the kind of ... Demonstration that would be remembered for millennia. Captain Nam Sujin's voice crackled over the fleet communication, channeled from her destroyer squadron. Admiral, my sensors are picking up movement in the outer system. Looks like we have observers. At least 20 different ship designs, all keeping their distance. Identification? Unknown, sir? But they're all broadcasting the same message on repeat. Do not approach, we surrender. Do not approach. We surrender, Lieutenant Colonel Choi. Minho's Marines were conducting search and rescue operations among the Velthani sanctuary ships. What they found broke their hearts. The graceful aliens were dying not from injuries, but from shock. Their fragile physiology couldn't handle the stress of witnessing such overwhelming violence, even when it had saved their lives. Admiral Choi reported grimly, "We need medical teams over here immediately. These people are literally dying from relief. Their bodies can't process the emotional trauma of being rescued." Dr. Kim was already coordinating with the fleet's medical ships. "Colonel, we're sending teams trained in xenobiology. These people have lived in terror for so long, sudden safety is almost killing them." As human medical teams boarded the alien vessels, they discovered the true scope of what they had interrupted. The Velthani weren't just one species, they were the last survivors of an entire galactic community. 14 different alien races had formed their coalition, all of them herbivorous, all dedicated to art, science, and philosophy. The Mordock had been systematically hunting them to extinction. Sir, reported Commander Rusang Min from his analysis station, intelligence is coming in from the rescued civilians. The Mordock weren't just random raiders. They were part of something bigger. Galactic ecosystem, where predator species dominated entire sectors. The Velthani coalition was just the latest target. Admiral Park studied the tactical displays showing the positions of the watching alien ships. Each one represented a different species, different governments, different civilizations that had all lived in fear of predators like the Mordock. And now they were all staring at the human fleet with a mixture of terror and desperate hope. "Admiral," Dr. Kim called out, her voice tight with concern, "we're receiving a transmission from something called the Galactic Council. They're asking if humanity intends to claim dominion over this sector of space." Park almost laughed. "Tell them we're just here to help people who asked for it." "Sir, I don't think they understand the concept. Based on these transmissions, galactic politics work on a simple principle. The strong consume the weak. They can't comprehend a species that fights just to protect others." More distress signals flooded in. The news of the Mordock's destruction had spread faster than light itself, carried by quantum communication networks that spanned the galaxy. Species that had hidden in the shadows for centuries were suddenly broadcasting their locations. Begging for Earth's protection, Captain Wan received a priority transmission on his personal channel. The voice was artificial, translated through multiple language matrices. "This is the archive of the Zephyrian Commonwealth. We have been monitoring your species for 500 Earth years. We wish to inform you that you have just eliminated one of the 7 great predator hordes that control galactic civilization. The remaining 6 will take notice." Implications hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. They hadn't just rescued some civilians, they had declared war on the natural order of the galaxy itself. Admiral Park's smile was cold as steel as he opened a fleet-wide communication channel. "All ships, prepare for extended operations. Set up supply lines back to Earth and establish permanent patrol routes. It looks like we're going to be busy." As the human armada began organizing long-term relief efforts for the Velthani survivors. Monitoring stations across the galaxy were reaching the same terrifying conclusion. The species they had dismissed as primitive Deathworlders possessed military technology and combat doctrine that could render every existing power structure obsolete. On 1,000 worlds, in 100 different languages, the same message was being transmitted. Earth had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The end.